So you talked about data, and data is great if you're measuring the right thing. And in outcome 7, it talked about reducing the number of students in special education centers by 33%. I was wondering how that number was arrived at, and whether any follow-up was done to determine whether the children who were pushed out of the special education centers were indeed better off.
Okay, number one, the number was arrived at because plaintiffs and the district and the monitor at that time, and I was consulted on that, seemed like that was a number that could be accomplished. That's it. I mean, there's no research based on that, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so we thought that we could do that and manage it. The second part of your question is extremely important. Again, when I came, we were in the midst of moving those students. Now, I don't know if you saw my first report after that. I just slammed the district for not preparing the sites for those kids. There were kids placed in bungalows who had feeding tubes, digestive issues, cleanliness issues, and there was no water. Right? There were bathrooms completely inaccessible. There were changing areas. I mean, it just, they put a group of blind students with intellectual disabilities at the bottom of 2 flights of stairs. Right? So it was deplorable. I don't know what words I used, but I was disgusted. So, and they had a plan to, manage this process, and they didn't do it. And so, after a year of very contentious meetings and discussions, and a good bit of assistance by the leadership, by the way, facilities came around and they began to make those modifications. Now, they're still working on those buildings, but they put them in a situation where the kids could be there. Now, in terms of programmatically and substantively, those youngsters receiving integrated services, which were a benefit, the jury is out on that. We did not take data on that. One of the deficiencies in the consent decree is that instructional oversight, in terms of student outcomes, is not within the purview of the monitor. But in terms of an LRE effort, I don't feel it was particularly successful. I think those kids ended up in situations where school staff were not prepared. But we know this for a fact. This is a fact. They weren't prepared. They didn't know what to do with kids with significant disabilities in integrated settings. I remember going to one building and talking to the principal. He said, we went to all 7 buildings in the initial group. Now, one principal said, you know what, we know what to do. We can handle integrated service. They didn't know. So the district provided some resources, but not a framework. I don't think. They had a team that was helping. Some of those people know what they were doing. So, for example, I went to a playground and was observing these kids, and isn't this cool, There's a kid in a wheelchair, mobility issues, and he's playing kickball with the other kids. So the PE teacher comes over and says, you see how stupid this is? He says, I have to push this kid around the bases, and nobody else receives instruction, on PE or anything while I do that. I thought to myself, well, you want to know how stupid you are? But I didn't. I said, you know what would be really cool? Maybe you could have his buddies, his classmates, push him around the bases. This would build some type of social relationship. Maybe some bonding would occur. And you could keep teaching kickball. So of course it's something, a lifelong skill. I mean, I'm sure all of you played kickball last week. I don't know why the hell kickball was important, but that's a different thing. But, that kind of understanding just wasn't conveyed effectively. I know Mark was taking care of that with the New LRE initiative, but that's kind of part of understanding how you integrate. So no, we haven't followed up. To the extent I've watched it, I don't think it's satisfactory. We can do a whole lot of expertise that can be brought to bear on integrated programs. I remember one specific instance where there was an older, a young man, I think he was 16 or 17 years in the Senate, and a reporter inquired to me, like, well, what's the benefit of that kid being integrated? Okay. He needs eye-hand coordination work. He, is never going to be this, he's never going to be that. I said, well, what's he doing? He's 17 years old. What do you see him doing? He's tracing leaves. Something I'm sure all of you do in your work every day, right? So he's tracing leaves at 17. A friend of mine and a real leader in the university, guy named Lou Brown. There's 3 rules. Don't waste their time. Don't teach them stupid. And only teach them what they need. Because the instructional time for kids with significant disabilities is precious. Every minute is precious. Because their rate of acquisition is diminished. And what they need to know is encapsulated. Right? This kid's tracing leaves at 17. And you're going to argue with me, about the benefits of staying in that kind of programming because he's more comfortable there, and they have a rodeo every year? Baloney. That kid needed to be doing something for eye-hand coordination which was purposeful and which is going to help him in the future. Because nobody traces leaves at 21 years old when he leaves. So, understanding the power of integrated service also means understanding the diminished expectations that we have for children when they're clustered. If you cluster kids with significant intellectual disabilities or kids with significant motor delays, that becomes the characteristics of the environment, and you get diminished expectations. So you get teenagers tracing leaves and listening to Bieber, right? Instead of learning how to stuff envelopes and listening to Beyonce.
Yeah.
That's what happens. So that's some of the rationale behind the center movement. Have we capitalized on the possibility? I don't see it. But again, I have not systematically looked at that. There may be really good things happening. But just putting kids in the presence of other kids,
Yeah.
obviously.